So I'm ready to be ready in the readiness, which is wonderful. Touching on what that gentleman just talked about, and something that Jerry said in Ask and It Is Given, which actually is what got me here, is a space of shared meditation. So we're talking about how we get into our mode of satisfaction. Is it possible to amplify that in a shared space with others during meditation?
The advantage that others offer to you is if the interaction with them causes you to have an expectation of greater satisfaction or success, then yes. We want to be very clear that you don't need others and you don't get more power with others. It's not like a tug of war where you've got 10 people on one end of the rope and 10 people on the other end, and you want 10, not 9, you want 10. It's not like that. It's you have access to everything that you need. So whatever you believe makes you more receptive. That's all it is. It's all about what you think about it. It's not about what it is. It's about what you think about it.
So if you share a joint thought or shared belief, does it make it more clear to you the feeling that you're trying to tap into?
You see, what you are talking about here, we've already touched on it already here today, and that is, in your human experience, you expect there to be more power in numbers. In your non-physical experience, you know that the power is accessible to all who tune into it. So it's a matter of tuning your frequency to the solution or to the answer or to the creation, to whatever it is that you want. But there's not power in numbers from your non-physical perspective. There's power in focus. So you've got all the power that you don't diminish. That's the best way of saying it. You are infinitely power to the degree that you don't diminish your own power by focusing in contradiction to your power. But as humans who haven't felt powerful, who've depended on others for appreciation or for power, then you come to the flawed premise that the more of you that gather together, the more powerful you are, when actually one who's connected to source is more powerful than millions who aren't. The leverage really is in the alignment with the energy. Esther was in Asheville a few months ago, and some friends invited her to go to some salt caves for a meditation. And Esther felt some resistance about it because she's heard us answer this question, and she knows from her own experience that she does not need others for power in meditation or for connection with Abraham. But they were eager about it, and she wanted to spend time with them, and they went. 3 of them went, and there were others that were in the room, and she thought the salt crystal cave would be like a cave. It had the word cave in the title, but it wasn't a cave. It was a building, and it was a room in a building, but salt crystals had been put everywhere. It was really lovely when she walked into it. There was salt on the floor like sand. It was about that texture, and the crystals all over the walls, and there was a water fountain with very lovely sound, and they're playing very nice soft music. So Esther sat there with her 2 friends and other strangers, and they were in lawn chairs so that they could recline. And as Esther sat into it, she had a slight feeling of resistance because she knows she does not need others in order to meditate. And it almost felt blasphemous to Abraham, a little bit to her, like here I am doing something that has totally not been my process ever. But as she sat back in the chair and heard the fountain and smelled the sweet smell of the salt crystals and relaxed into her chair with people that she really cares about, she heard in her mind herself saying, "This is so satisfying." It was so satisfying. And so we'd like our answer to be to you that whatever enhances your satisfaction is always beneficial to your connection. We're just asking you not to get dependent upon others for your satisfaction, because it's not their job to satisfy you. And when you're looking for satisfaction in numbers or in others, often you get off on a wild goose chase, because there's plenty of things about most everybody that is disappointing in some way, and the more of them that are around, the more stuff that's disappointing you that may be there. You see and yet at the same time, we don't want you to go off and be a hermit. We want you to discover that you can have satisfaction whenever and wherever, and then once you accomplish that, do whatever you feel inspired to do. Then Esther went back to San Antonio, and she was back for a week or two, and she went to a furniture store to buy a desk with her grandson for his new bedroom. And they just had a delightful time. He has such good taste. He's learned it all from Esther, and she just appreciates so much the things that he likes. She's been trying to bribe him away from his inner being and let her be his inner being his whole life. We're mostly playing about that. So they'd chosen something, had a nice time with the salesperson, and then later we're back in the same store, and this man came to her and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know who you were when you were here before." And Esther said, "Okay." And he said, "Do you mind if I call you? May I have your number?" So Esther gave him her phone number, and he called that afternoon, and he said, "I want to build a salt crystal cave in San Antonio." And Esther said, "Of course you do," because she hadn't been able to stop thinking about it for the weeks that she'd been away from it. Every time she meditated, every time after being in that salt cave, she thought of that pleasant, satisfied feeling that she had while she was there. And of course, thoughts are in the air, and one thing, we're not telling you the story because Esther's going to build a salt crystal cave. We're telling you the story because that satisfaction that she felt, which lingered long after she was actually in the salt crystal cage, actually caused the universe to gather up a cooperative component who came to her with very real words and said to her, "Let's build a salt crystal cave together." And Esther felt such satisfaction in knowing how far-reaching her satisfaction had been. You see what we're getting at? So we've answered your question in a sort of roundabout way, but whatever it takes and whoever it takes that brings you satisfaction is beneficial to your whole. But when you depend upon them, they will let you down every time. So what we're saying is, get satisfied and then let them come to you on the basis of your satisfaction. Don't go looking for satisfaction in other people. Can you feel the distinction?
Yes. Thank you.
Really good. Really good.